And so consecrating Russia and Ukraine to our Blessed Mother, so that our Blessed Mother might, through her intercession to her Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, obtain them peace. If you want to combat terrorism or extremism, one way to do it is getting into the religion and letting people know what religion actually teaches, what the particular religion actually teaches. Speaking about the right to food comes from the position of the Holy See on the right to life, the defense of human dignity.
From February 28th to April 1st, the sessions of the Human Rights Council at the UN were held in Geneva. The Holy See at the UN in Geneva was very active and participated in many of the Council sessions. Today, on the topic of the threat to religious freedom, the right to food, the partial food shortage, and the consecration of Russia and Ukraine to the Mother of God. We speak today with the Nuncio to the UN in Geneva again. Now here at EWTN UN blog. Greetings. The Vatican has been trying to play a diplomatic role and help bring peace since war broke out in Ukraine. One of the, at least from a Catholic point of view, highlights of these efforts for peace was the consecration of Russia and Ukraine to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The ritual goes back to reports of Marian apparitions at Fatima in Portugal in July 1917. When the Mother of Jesus is said to have told 3 children to consecrate Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Mary so that the country would not fall away from the Christian faith and for peace. I'm now again connected with the Apostolic Nuncio to the UN in Geneva. Greetings, Excellency.
Good afternoon again, Christian.
The action, the obedience to do what Our Lady asked 105 years ago, to bring about today, to bring about now an end to the war in Ukraine, demonstrates in a dramatic way that religion goes far beyond politics.
Well, of course, religion goes beyond politics. We know religion goes to the heart of the people. Religion, good religion, seeks the good of the other person. I think it is a wonderful thing that Pope Francis is wishing to do, and is inviting also bishops and church leaders all over the world to join him in doing. It is like wishing the people of Russia and Ukraine peace and praying for their peace and well-being. Nobody, I don't think there's anybody that does not enjoy good wishes from other people. And I think that the best wishes we can offer a person is to tell the person that we are praying for the person's well-being. And so consecrating Russia and Ukraine to our Blessed Mother, so that our Blessed Mother might, through her intercession to her Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, obtain them peace, obtain for them peace and well-being, is the best thing anybody could do to the people or for the people at this moment. Because it is no act of aggression, it is the greatest act of solidarity to both sides, and it is the greatest act of love. The greatest act of love in Christianity is praying for the other person. And so this is the Pope calling the whole Catholic world, as it were even calling the whole Christian world, if not the entire humanity, to join in this act of love extended to the people of Russia and Ukraine.
Your Excellency, the Holy See participated also in the interactive dialogue with the UN Special Rapporteur on freedom of religion or belief in March. The delegation condemned, I quote, the use of repressive counter-terrorism measures in certain contexts to violate the rights of religious or belief minorities in the name of fighting extremism or threatening security." End quote. Are you concerned about this serious warning that the day will come when the authentic teachings of the Bible will be labeled as hate speech?
Of course, Christian, this is a danger, and is a danger we have to watch out against, because we all know that the application and enjoyment of one human right goes as far as the beginning of another person's human right. We have the right to religious freedom, and that is a right that has to be respected, while at the same time we're fighting terrorism, also trying to avoid hate speech. I think we are all talking about hate speech. We also have to talk about hate actions. You cannot use hate speech against something that is authentically part of the religious belief of a person or of a group. Just as you cannot use hate speech to try to stop something that is authentically the result of scientific research. I can tell you, for example, if I were to be a smoker of cigarettes, I wonder if I would consider hate speech the writing that is on top of the packet of a cigarette saying that smoking is dangerous, it kills. Is that hate speech? That is the conviction of medical research and doctors. In the same way also we have the conviction of religious systems and groups, as long as they don't bring it to use it as source of violence, physical violence against other people. So I think that religious freedom is a fundamental right. We have to be respected, just as the freedom of speech is also a right that has to be respected, and just also as the right to life is a right that has to be protected against people that may use religion or other pretexts to go against the right to life.
The case of Finnish evangelical Lutheran Dr. Päivi Räsänen, a former minister of the Interior of Finland, against whom a charge of incitement against minorities, in this case homosexuals, was brought, and during his closing argument, the prosecution argued that the word sin can be harmful, clearly shows the direction in which the interpretation of so-called hate crimes is going. Thank God, Ms. Räsänen was recently acquitted by a court in Helsinki. Your Excellency, is it even possible to fight extremism, maintain freedoms and rights or peace without religion, without God, and without observing His commandments?
We have to be very careful about that. We have to understand what religion is. Religion helps us to train the conscience. Now, religion helps us to get people together and provide common principles, common rules of existence. Religion helps us to build trust between persons, especially persons of the same faith. Now, if you want to bring people together, religion is a major platform for that. If you want to combat terrorism or extremism, one way to do it is getting into the religion and letting people know what religion actually teaches, what a particular religion actually teaches. Most cases of extremism are deviations from the fundamental tenets, from the fundamental doctrines of the religions in question. So I think what is needed is an encouragement to the various members of particular religions to explain and expose well enough the tenets and teachings of their religion, because I think that the best place to combat religious extremism is within the communities of the religious, within the religious communities concerned.
The Holy See delegation in March also participated in the interactive dialogue with the UN Special Rapporteur on the right to food. The right to food, also known as the right to adequate nutrition, has been one of the recognized international human rights since the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Your delegation quoted Pope Francis, as so often, who would remind us that it is not enough to produce food. We need a new way of thinking and a new holistic approach, and we need to plan food systems that protect the earth and put human dignity at the center.
Well, Christian, let us try to point out here that the position of the Holy See is always coherent. Speaking about the right to food comes from the position of the Holy See on the right to life, the defense of human dignity. Now, you cannot speak of the right to life without speaking of the means of protecting that life. Life without food dies, withers away. Human dignity cannot be protected without the necessary nourishment. So we cannot speak of the right to life without following it up with also the right to food. And I will add also, if you permit me, the right to drinkable water, because food and water are the means of sustaining life. The governments are obliged to provide favorable environment that helps the people to provide themselves with the necessary food, necessary drinking water, and also not just providing the environment, but helping, in some cases, the people with the provision of the food they need and the drinking water they need.
In light of the Ukraine war, countries are now looking more closely at imports of certain foods. Shortage of sunflower oil, for example. Just over 3/4 of the world's sunflower oil exports come from Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine alone accounts for half of all exports. In Germany, 94% of sunflower oil demand is covered by imports. This means that only 6% comes from domestic production. Isn't this a call to promote local regional farming worldwide? Could that also be a solution to food shortages?
Well, that is going to be a solution to food shortage. But I think the war is also something that teaches us that people and things we take for granted should not be taken for granted. Before this war broke out, many people did not know how important Ukraine was to our world in the provision of food oil or in the provision of grains. Many people did not know the amount of grain and food oil that was imported from Russia and from Ukraine. So the first thing we learn is not to take anybody, any country for granted. And then, it is important to enhance, to strengthen the production of food worldwide. But there are certain areas that produce these particular foods better, these food items better. We have, in the theory of economics, division of labor. Why don't we also try to, as much as possible, avoid these conflicts so that we shall continue to enjoy international collaboration, cooperation of exchanges in the area of division of labor. There are products that are better produced in Ukraine, others are better produced, for example, in southern Italy, others are produced in regions of Africa, cocoa and so on. If we were to have war today in Brazil or in Ivory Coast or in some parts of West Africa, we would have also a similar crisis with cocoa. So we should go to the root problem, and that is try to avoid as much as possible this type of conflict.
In his encyclical Fratelli Tutti for fraternity and social friendship on dealing with conflict, the Pope urges a strengthening of the United Nations and calls for the subordination of national interests to the global common good. And he backs an option for the poor and the right to cultural identity against global egalitarianism, which he condemns as colonialism. Also, we would finally need politicians again who have understood what fraternity is. The English historian Thomas Fuller wrote about the concept of politics. Politics is serving God in such a way as not to anger the devil.